Hello everyone and welcome back to part 6, and today we're going to be finishing Buddy off. So as you can see, since last time I've carried on and got pretty much everything else finished apart from the finishing touches. So today I'm going to finish his nose area and just around his muzzle here, and then if you stick around to the end I will show you what I do for the last finishing touches, just to make it really pop and make it look really realistic. So that's what's coming up. So to start off with, I'm going to get my dark sepia, and I'm just going to go in and try and find his nostril area. Again, as always, really light pressure, barely touching the page at the moment. Just trying to shape in. Just bring the light around a bit. There we go, see that. Okay, so this is coming down here, and with noses I usually start with the nostrils first, get those somewhere near where they're supposed to be, and then carry on with the rest of the nose. But I like to get the nostrils in place so I know that they're exactly where they need to be before carry on with anything else. So this is coming down here. And this drawing, I will admit, has taken a long time, at least 40 hours, if not more, because he's a wet dog. It's much trickier. There's so much detail in it, and yeah, there's just you just have to get the layers in, keep going with more and more and more layers, and it gets there eventually, as you can see. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with this one. Some days I've sat down to draw and just hours go by and you don't realise, and I've really enjoyed it. But then other days it's been a real task to get anything done on him. Sometimes, I don't know why, sometimes I get like that. I'm sure other artists do as well, where it's just, I don't know, you just lose a bit of momentum and almost come to a grinding halt. Yeah, it's quite difficult. You've just got to work your way through it. But eventually you get to a point where you can see enough of it done to sort of see where you're going with it and push through. Or I can anyway. Obviously everybody's different. So just following the shapes around the nose where all the darks are at the moment. Just working on tonal value, as always. As I keep saying, the more you work on tonal value, the more detail will appear. So, Again, it's just looking backwards and forwards from your reference image to your drawing. Nostril is moving up a bit there. So as you can see as well, the more that you get down, the easier it is to move other things into the right place, which again is why it's so important to have such a light pressure so that you can go over it and over it and over it until everything is where it needs to be. Feeling very, very lucky at the moment that I get to sit at home and draw. I'm based in Wolverhampton in England, and we are back into lockdown, or a version of lockdown. Good old Boris has come up with some random 3-tier malarkey that we're basically on lockdown, so I'm glad that I don't need to go out in all the nastiness. I can just stay home, get some drawing done. Okay, so I'm going to take my sky blue and just very lightly get just a little bit of blue in the top here. It's not really blue. I think it's a reflection from the sky actually, so there's a little bit of blue in it, but not lots. But you still need that little bit. Try and get all of the colours in that you can see. A bit of blue in that white as well there. With noses, you really need to try and see the pattern. There's lots of little dimples and bumps. You really need to try and get those in. Right, I'm going to go in with my Cold Grey 2. Just start getting some of this tonal value in. So I'm trying to go in between those bits of blue that I've already put on. At the moment, this is quite bright here. Notice I'm feeding it into its face. I'm not just doing a line like this. That's not how you make it look realistic. You need to feed things into other things. And this is quite bright right the way across the top here. Down here. And because it's a round nose, it's coming around, so it's coming from down the side and around. So curve your strokes to go down and around the nose. Okay, so that's just getting a little bit too dark and a little bit too much of a straight line going across there, which we don't want. We need a little bit more highlight there. That's better. So this isn't dark across here. So there is a dark bit there. There's also this light bit coming here. And then again down here there's a tiny bit of white, just on the edge of his nostril. There's an edge there. And then his nostril's going to be going down and around behind this edge. And again, I'm doing my strokes like that. So I'm curling around the bottom of his nostril. And this is an edge. Excuse me. That way. And again, across the top is an edge. That's coming down that way. Got some more highlights coming up here. Again, taking them into the blue, feeding them in, and what I'm going to do here is just feed them in this way and then go back over and pick out the texture after I've got the tonal values right. Might not be dark there, but there's a definitive line that stops from the nose to the where it goes behind. There is. I'm going to use my Cold Grey 6, who's a very small line going up the side. It's an edge to value, but there's very little value coming away from it, but it is still an edge to value. So now I just need to differentiate where the nose stops and the ear starts. So now I'm going to go in with my white, which is getting very small, but it's okay for the time being. So just want to brighten this up along this edge. and across the top. Brighten this up. Down the side. All bright in the nose. There are some brightish parts. Start shaping the top of his nostril as well. Again, down here, it's quite bright, but not all of it. Here, there's some bright, but again, it's not all of it. You need to pay attention to where is bright and where is highlighted, but not so bright. Not all highlights are created the same, so just bear that in mind. Some more white in here. Okay, now cold grey one. Again, just working on where it's really bright. Using a little bit more pressure now, but not not excessive amounts. I just don't want it to go shiny. Coloured pencil can go so shiny so easily. It's almost worse than graphite for going shiny really quickly. If you use just a little bit too much pressure, then yeah, it goes shiny and it's difficult to get rid of the shine. So you just need to try and avoid it at all costs. Some texture into there. So let's reshape these nostrils again. So one's coming across, sharpen his pencil. Right, what I'm going to do is take my calipers. I'm just going to measure the reference image from there, from the top of his nostril, where it's the darkest, there to the top there. If I go, I've got the same orientation, and I go from there straight up. There we go. So that's from there to there. So yeah, that's about right for where it is. That's a really good way of checking that you've got everything in the right place, using the dividers. Sorry, not calipers, using the dividers. And you can do that even if your image isn't the same size as what you're drawing it. If you're drawing a smaller image and it's bigger, you can still use the dividers to work out where things are. You just need to find something on your reference image that's the same size, and then if you've already got that drawn on your drawing, you can use it on your drawing. So if it's so big on your reference image because your reference image is small, and then on your drawing it's that big, well then you can set your dividers to how big it is on your drawing, and then you've got the same size for whatever it is you're trying to find, if that makes sense. I have explained it before on how to draw accurately without a grid, so if you do want to see more of that, if that's intriguing, then definitely go and check that out, because it explains it obviously in much more detail than I've just said. So, shape these nostrils a bit better. This is darkened down here and it's getting lighter as it comes out there. This one, now need my dark indigo. And now I want to go across the top, just start making some little marks where the dark meets the light. Trying to follow some sort of pattern. Okay, and then that comes down all the way down here. So that's going, and this comes here. Now with very, very light pressure, just starting to apply in some of these shapes. With noses, they either take forever or they come together really quickly. I've got a feeling this one is going to be one that takes forever, as apart from the eyes. The eyes came together really quick on this, but everything else has taken forever, so I don't see why the nose is going to be any different. Again, you just need to keep working, keep looking back at your reference image. Eventually it does come together, I promise you. Okay, now I'm going to go over where it's darkest down here with this blue, because it will make my black a nice deep dark black and not a horrible like grey black, grey wash. It's not what we want. We want our blacks to be as deep and as dark as they can be, where they need to be deep and dark. And as we're not going to achieve what we set out to achieve originally, which is to draw this dog looking like this dog. So that's actually a bit lighter there. Again, just using really light pressure, just trying to find some sort of pattern to keep following. I must admit, noses are one of the more difficult things to draw on a dog, actually, because again, there's just so much texture that you really need to get texture in there for it to look the way it's supposed to look. So now I'm going to take my cold grey 5 and just going to start doing some of these lighter parts. If you spot a mistake, then it's usually a good idea to sort it out as soon as you spot it, so that you don't forget it. Nothing worse than finishing it off, having it framed, or you've sent it to the customer or something, and then you notice, oh, I forgot to fix that bit that I meant to fix, and it's too late then. It's really annoying. So yeah, it's definitely worth fixing things as you see them. So I'm just going in with my cold grey one, just trying to get a bit more texture in where it's getting a bit too dark, and just rein it back a bit with a bit of cold grey one over the top. Right, now I'm going to go in with my black again, and now I am making sure that the black is black. So although I'm not pressing silly hard so that it goes shiny, I am pressing harder than I was before. And this one's just feathering it on here, so you can see where I was pressing a little bit harder here, it's gone much darker, and then here just ever so lightly feathering it on. This needs to come this way, connect to that. If you've got something sticking out a bit that's a bit too pronounced, you can just brush it, or you can brush over the lot if you want, like I've just done. Now, because I've brushed it, all of the black has now gone much lighter. So if you do brush it, you need to go back in with your black, just get those darks back in. Where they need to be. Just going to use this black really gently, just to start adding just a little bit of texture. Following, as always, what's on the reference image. There's quite a bit of texture coming through. I want to capture as much of that as I can. So I don't want to go too high up here with it though, because it's not, the texture isn't dark up here. So just make these darker again. So every time you sweep a brush across the top of it, it will dull everything, which is really helpful if you're just laying out the tonal value. But then once you've got some details on there, you really don't want to be sweeping across it then, because it just obliterates all detail, and it just leaves you with what's underneath. So that is coming more that way. Because this is a crease in his nose, it's going to be darkest right in the middle, and then working its way out. So now cold grey 1 again, and very gently again I am just going to get some texture in here. This is coming, there's not this line here, don't like that, so let's get rid of that. This is coming down here. Okay. Actually want to use some of this as well in excuse me, here. So this is what I was saying the other day, just because in my mind I've said I've finished everything apart from his nose and his snout. If I notice things that aren't finished, that needs something else, I will always go back and do it. Just because I think it's finished doesn't mean that it is, and there's always something that you'll find. So yeah, that needs a bit more there, or and again this bit, just gently sweep it over, like 3 times I touched that, that's all it needs. Just get a bit more here. There we go. Just going to sharpen the pencil again. Right, this here is not how it looks on the reference image. It's definitely not as dark as that. It's more like so. Then there is quite a bit of a dark bit here. It's also coming down there. And then this is coming out this way, because again it's coming out from the dark, over and around. There's some highlights in this bit. And as you can see, this nose is going to take a long time. What are we on? We're already on 40 minutes. So I think what I'll do is leave the nose for a second, and just show you what I mean by coming around and making everything pop that bit more. Actually, the angle of that is more like that, and it's coming up there. And so you see that edge there has now pushed his ear behind his nose. Whereas if you didn't have that edge, it all just merges into one and doesn't work. So, and that edge isn't on the reference image. The reference image is actually a bit more blue than that, but that's what I mean by what I do to make things pop out a bit. Just notice there's a highlight up there that I hadn't seen. Sneaky highlight. So what I'm doing now is just scanning my reference image and looking back at my drawing and just making sure everything's in the right place. I've just spotted there's actually a bit of purple in here. I mean, it's not a lot at all. You don't want to be gung-ho with this and just go in there and get a look, because there's not much of it. But there is definitely a touch of purple in there. Now I want my cold grey 3. I'm just going to blend that purple out a bit. And then this follows down here. That's far too thick like that, so we'll just take away that, make it a bit thinner. Just pull that down into his face. Right, okay. So I'm going to leave his nose there for the time being. I'm just going to actually take a bit of that out. is the beauty of pastel matte. I can just go in with grey and just bring that back over, and that is just saves so many headaches. That does just being able to do that is just amazing. Anyway, I've clearly still got lots to do on his nose, so I'm going to leave his nose there. And what I'm going to do now is just go and do as if I was doing the finishing touches. So first thing I'm going to do is go to his eye. His eye was the first thing that we did, and as you can see, I'm barely touching it, and I'm able to get much more colour in there now, and that's because my hand would have been over it when I was doing his ear and things, smudging it. So we can definitely go in and get some nice orange bits in his eye. And I'm also just going to shape it a bit better. And then I want, we'll go with, where is it? Naples ochre again. So this is for the lighter bits in his eye. So just where there's these lighter areas. Again with this one. And so now in here it is much darker, but it's also got a reddy tinge to it. So very, very, very gently just glazing just a little bit of red into there. Now I need to check all of my edge to values are dark enough and in the right place. So because it's a black dog, I'm going to do this with my dark indigo, and just, you see, I can still go darker there. You can see that there's still, it's still making it darker. And what that's going to do is lift his ear up even more, and make it, this will makes everything pop more when you go around and make sure all of your edges to values. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about with edge to values, watch which one is it? I'll link it to the end of the video. It's where I draw, in graphite I draw a sphere and a barrel, just to show the principles. So you can see that that has definitely made that darker. I just want to go now with my black. I don't like these really black bits here. This all should be darker. And around here. I'm trying really hard not to move my hand over my drawing too much. So rather than smudging across, I'm lifting my hand off and then putting it back down in a different place, lift it off. Put it back down in a different place. Don't smudge over your drawing because coloured pencils smudge so easily. And the last thing that you want to do when you've done all this and you're doing the final touches is to smudge it. It really is. It really is very annoying. So, something here, because obviously this head's going round. So because there's something behind it, it'll be an edge to value, as will here. So the edge to value is going to be where his face goes down, around, out of sight, and then his ear is, this is coming out this way. And so we'll be getting lighter, 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 and then it folds back over. So there'll be another edge to value here, where it folds back over. Here, these are darker areas. Okay, so it's got most of the darks in, I think. Yeah. Have a quick look. Yeah, I think. Okay, so just a little bit darker, just this bit. And this bit here, because that's a crease, and then it's coming, working its way back out, but that will be the darkest bit down there. Okay. Now, the next thing I do is the highlights. So, I'm just going to sharpen my pencil again. So, I need this to be brighter here. This here. Down here. These definitely need to be brighter. Here. And it absolutely doesn't have to be exactly the same as the reference image. I mean, you can see from this that these aren't all in exactly the same place. And they're not all saying exactly the same thing as my reference image. But you can still tell that this drawing is of this dog. So just adding a bit of texture in here around darker bits that are already in. So fluffy there. Comes down to there. And then here. And so this is all I do. I just go around making sure that everything is as light as it needs to be and as dark as it needs to be before I sign it. That's pretty much it then. So all I've got left to do on this is just finish off his nose, and then yeah, we're done, which is nice because it's taken far too long. There we go. So just these highlights down here again, they're not all really bright, but there are some that are quite bright, and like on the edges here. So it's not the whole, it's not all of it. It's just like the edge there. Okay, I reckon, yeah, I reckon we're nearly there. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to finish the nose off, and then I've got a short time-lapse version to upload for anybody who can't be bothered to sit through hours and hours and hours of footage. And then yeah, so right, I will leave it there. So thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And yeah, if you want to see more more drawings, more tutorials, more whatever you want to see, let me know in the comments. That would be good. And yeah, there we have it. So I will see you all very soon. Thank you, everyone.